So I'll be discussing about anti-VEGF treatment pachychoroid disease. So first we need to understand pachychoroid is a new entity altogether. Basically, these are a group of group of conditions which have a similar findings, imaging findings, and especially the choroidal findings. And the some of the examples are this pachychoroid neovasculopathy. Then there is central serous retinopathy. Then there is peripapillary pigment epitheliopathy, and the latest being the pachychoroid vitelliform maculopathy. So all these spectrum of patients will have reduced fundus tessellation, followed by the pachychoroid. That is, studies say it is greater than 400 microns, focal or diffuse. OCT shows pachy vessels, dilated outer choroidal vessels, that is greater than 80% of the thickness of the Holler's vessels, followed by compression of the choriocapillaries. The ICGA shows delayed choroidal arterial filling and dilated choroidal vessels. Mid-late ICGA phase shows mid-phase leakage with choroidal vascular hyperpermeability. So the treatment regimens in brief, for PPE and PVM, you just observe, and most likely the PPE gets transformed to CSE. PVM transforms to pachychoroid geographic atrophy. Acute CSE observes for 3 months, and then focal laser for extrafoveal leaks and MPL for subfoveal or juxtafoveal leaks. For chronic CSE and PPS, the PDT is a gold standard. And coming on to the anti-VEGF regimen, anti-VEGF is given for secondary CNVM due to CSR, then PNV and FCE, which causes secondary CNVM, and then PCV, non-invasive imaging, followed by newer anti-VEGF regimen is done. So coming on to PCV, it is the serosanguinous maculopathy that's clinically seen as subretinal orange nodule, and gold standard is the hypercyanescent nodules that's seen, but ICG and PDT is not available in all places. So we go for OCT markers, that is the three major criteria being the sharp peak PED, sub RP like structures, and fast OCT, that's a complex RP elevation corresponding to the hyper-reflective BVN, and the four minor criteria being the orange nodule, thick choroid with pachyvessels, notched multilobular PEDs, and double layer sign. And the non-ICGA criteria are quick, practical, and non-invasive, and gives about 82% accuracy when in combination with three major criteria. So the three non-ICGA based criteria in this particular study states that the sharp peak PED, sub-RP like lesion, and orange subretinal nodule have got on clinical fundus photography have got 85% accuracy as compared to an ICGA. So many clinics lack PDT and ICGA access. So aflibercept monotherapy along with higher anti-VEGF agents like the brolucizumab and monotherapy is given to minimize the PCV and thereby reduce the PDT. And aflibercept treatment leads to vision gains of greater than 10 letters, polyp inactivation in 80% of cases. Now, coming to Everest study, we all know that Everest study has told us that the combination therapy works best for PCV. So here, the combination therapy, that is the PDT along with ranibizumab, gave us 77% closure of the polyp in these cases. So this is a case where a patient had underwent a combination therapy. There was resolution of PDT, the PCV following PDT with Avastin. The Planet study had told us that there was initially you have to give anti-VEGF, and the PCV was diagnosed with the help of OCT Octa, and 3 monthly aflibercept injections was given. And if there's an improvement in the vision and there's no fluid following the aflibercept injection, treat and extend was enough. However, if there's persistent fluid on OCT and active polyps in ICGA, we have to go in for a PDT rescue. So the polyp regression after aflibercept in this particular patient was seen, and complete polyp regression after 6 months with BVN persisting was also seen. Brolucizumab, the new kid in the drug market for PCV, it helps in a complete flattening of the PED, thereby the polyp regression was seen. 3 loading injections of brolucizumab in this particular patient gave a regression of 80%. Conclusions from the Hawk PCV sub-analysis showed that 76% of the brolucizumab 6 mg patients maintained for 12-week injections required a follow-up following loading phase at only for week 48, and 68% patients needed the loading phase injection at week 96. So this is another patient where the brolucizumab had been given, and after 2 months there was resorption of the PCV. And as you can see, after 2 months of brolucizumab in the OCTA, the NV has regressed. Treat and extend in PCV, loading dose of 1 PDT and 3 anti-VEGF injections, followed by treat and extend was another regimen that was practiced for PCV. Now coming on to the pachychoroid pigment epithelopathy. So these are non-specific RPE changes seen on the AF with areas of reduced tessellations, and it is one of the precursors of CSR. So drusins are seen, pachydrusins are seen. So what is different from the dry AMD drusins is that pachydrusins are mostly singly placed in the posterior pole or in pairs in the posterior pole in a setting of a pachychoroid. However, in dry AMD, it's a clusters of drusins in the posterior pole in a thin choroid. So the next entity is a PVM, that is a new entity, and here it is associated with vitelliform lesions. There is no SRF, IRF, no activity with pachychoroid features. However, these patients need to be followed up frequently, 4 to 5 years, because it can lead to pachychoroid geographic atrophy. Then acute CSR, yes, it's a young patient with type A personality and acute serous macular detachments, subretinal fibrin, bullous RDs. Here, this patient has got some amount of hyperreflectivity with NSDs, and here you can see diffuse RP epithelopathy with multiple leaks are there, and increased choroidal hyperpermeability. And in this particular chronic CSR, here you can see that there is the foveal atrophy with thinning with atrophy because of the pigment, the photoreceptor outer segment layer elongation, and SRF and IRF, and cystoid degeneration. SSOCT shows diffuse choroidal thickening and focal choroidal thickening. So indications for lasers and CSR is given in detail, and an anti-VEGF therapy is mostly likely for those patients with secondary CNVM that has been reported in 24 to 39% patients who have a shallow irregular PED or flat irregular PED, and they respond well to anti-VEGF. Coming on to the peripapillary pachychoroid syndrome, that subretinal and intraretinal fluids are seen, nasal choroidal thickening, preferentially in the nasal aspect, and there is peripapillary RP mottling with the pachyvessel and choroidal hyperpermeability. Last entity is a pachychoroid neovasculopathy. Here it's nothing but the type 1 CNV in FA and ICGA in a pachychoroid spectrum with the flat irregular PED. And the SNB, the DCP doesn't show any network. However, the avascular plexus has a network. And the gold standard for diagnosing PEVN is OCTA, because it can pick up a network that the FA and ICG cannot do. And so anti-VEGF treatment is the drug choice for this. And focal choroidal excavation, the sharp choroidal excavations are seen on the SDOCT. There are two types, confirming and the non-confirming. And here these patients respond to few number of anti-VEGF injections. That's the interesting part when in a setting of CNVM. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Dr. Vinitha, for